Hi there, and welcome to the Mindful Marathon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk, a run coach and pediatrician. Mindful Marathon is all about helping runners of all types to run their own race. Whether you are a seasoned runner or you're just getting started, I want to let you know that you're welcome here and that you're in the right place. Hi, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, I have a special episode for you that I've titled Movement and Rest, Creating a Prescription That Works for You. So, before we dive into the conversation, I wanted to share a quick recap from this past weekend. So, I'm coming to you after a lovely mindful movement retreat weekend that I had in Cape May, New Jersey. And I had the honor of hosting a small, intimate group of female physicians at this beautiful 110-year-old Victorian house in Cape May. And all of us, these women and I, stepped away from our jobs, families, all of the daily obligations that usually fill our plates. And for one weekend, I can truly say that we all exhaled. And it was really, really nice. We jogged and walked together along the beach. We had really lovely weather. The sun gods were with us. We did yoga by the ocean, led by my wonderful friend, Dr. Megan Hampton. We rested deeply in yoga nidra, and we soaked in the sounds of a beautiful sound bowl session. We ended up sharing a lot of conversations on this wraparound porch with rocking chairs and connected in meaningful ways. And we also let ourselves go to bed early, which was really, really nice without any guilt. All of this may sound simple, but it was profound, and I recognize that it's really hard for us to step away from our regular lives to rest. What struck me most was how much can shift when we give ourselves just a little bit of space. Even a few days away can feel like medicine. It's really a chance to reset and reconnect and remember who we are outside of all of the roles that we usually carry. So, for today's episode, I wanted to share just a small piece of one of the sessions that we had at the retreat that sparked a lot of conversation. And I think it will be helpful for so many of us. And if you were one of the lucky ladies who attended the retreat, I hope that you'll revisit this exercise this week and just reflect on what came up for you and how things are going as you have re-entered real life. And I will do the same. So, as a physician and as a coach, I know the science of rest, and I know I've spoken at least a bit about rest and recovery on this podcast before. But like many of you out there, I have certainly struggled to practice it, and it continues to be a work in progress for me. And I'm hopeful that by sharing this exercise, it will get you at least thinking about how rest can show up more in your life. As physicians, we are trained to push and achieve and keep going. And these characteristics, they work really well in the medical fields, and they help us to become successful in our careers and in our profession. And I fully recognize that these same characteristics are really what help us as athletes, and they really help us in training and racing. Like all of that is part of us. But as part of our training in the medical system, it doesn't really matter what residency or specialty that we decided on, but we actually end up training ourselves to ignore bodily cues, right? So we rotate through all the different departments of the hospital, the emergency department, intensive care. We're rounding for hours on the floors of the hospital. And if you're a surgeon, you're really ignoring a lot of bodily cues while being in the operating room. It's not like you can just raise your hand and say, I need to take a pause. So we ignore things like hunger and thirst and having to pee. We ignore our fatigue. And we get to this place where rest actually just feels really foreign and uncomfortable. And the truth is that in the moments of rest, in my older age here and reflecting on my career and my profession, rest is really where healing and creativity live. And I'm not sure I made that connection years ago, but I'm making it now. And I'm hopeful that if you are a younger physician listening to this, hopefully what I'm talking about here will show up in your life and you can reflect on how movement and rest are supporting you right now and how you can take these lessons with you into the future. So we know that science-wise, that our body and mind and nervous system need cycles of both activation and recovery. And if we're thinking about run training, we wouldn't prescribe marathon training without rest days. I never prescribe any kind of training plan without rest days. It doesn't matter what distance we're training for. So, why do we think that our lives can run nonstop without the same principle? I'm not sure. But sometimes we just forget about rest and we think, well, there's no time for that. And that's the first thing to fall off of the schedule and off of the calendar. So, for this next part of the episode, I want to invite you to pause and to think about these questions that I'm about to pose. If you are in a place where you could grab a pen and a piece of paper and journal with this, that would be ideal. You can also think about it. If you are running or walking or you're in the car, just think about the answers to these questions, and then maybe later on today you can come back to this part of the episode and hit pause and just journal a little bit. This is what we did at the retreat. So the first question is, when I think about rest, what comes up for me? When I think about rest, what comes up for me? You can think about how this feels in your body, or is something coming up having to do with your schedule or your calendar or fitting it in? Is it sparking a certain emotion? What's coming up when you think about rest? The second question is, where does movement feel supportive versus obligatory? Where does movement feel supportive versus obligatory? Maybe you're following a training plan right now. Ask yourself, are you enjoying the process? Is it feeling sometimes like a part-time job? Are you feeling like it's a slog or are you thriving? And the last question is, if you gave yourself a prescription for rest and movement, what is one small dose of each that you could start with this week? If you gave yourself a prescription for rest and movement, what is one small dose of each that you could start with this week? Now, at the retreat, we talked a lot about personal prescriptions for movement and rest, and having the prescription is just one piece of the puzzle. So, the other side of that is that how do we make a personalized plan sustainable? And the answer to that is with boundaries. So, without boundaries, any prescription that we come up with is going to get swallowed up by work, family, people pleasing. Life and other people's needs will basically try to crowd all of this out. And so, boundaries are the container that keep your practices safe, that keep your prescription able to be put into motion. So I have three more questions for you in this little section on boundaries. And again, think on them, reflect on them. If you are in a place to write down the answers, go for it. The first question is, Where in my life do I feel most drained right now? Where in my life do I feel most drained right now? The second question is, what do I wish I had more space or time for? What do I wish I had more space or time for? And the last question is, what is one boundary I'd like to experiment with this week? What is one boundary I'd like to experiment with this week? Maybe it means saying no to just one commitment that doesn't really align with who you are or what you want to do. Maybe it's blocking 20 minutes on your calendar for a walk or a run or a swim. Maybe it's getting off of social media and plugging your phone in across the room 30 minutes before your bedtime to have some peace and quiet, maybe some time to read a book or do some journaling. And now, to close out this section, I have two bonus prompts for you if you'd like. For these, you're just going to fill in the blank. So the first one is, I give myself permission to blank. I give myself permission to blank. And the second is, I will protect my time and energy by fill in the blank. I will protect my time and energy by some gentle encouragement here. Your prescription doesn't need to be big or fancy or multifaceted. It can be very small adjustments over time. Sometimes the smallest adjustments in rest or movement can actually ripple into everything else. So, I'd like to invite you to share your movement and rest prescription with me. Just send me a DM on social media. I'm at mindful.marathon on Instagram, but let me know what came up for you during this exercise. This is the kind of deep reflection that we practice together at the retreat. So if you're listening and you're thinking, wow, I really need that kind of space too, you are not alone. Creating room for rest and renewal really isn't a luxury, it is essential. I'll be hosting future retreats just like this one, and if you are a woman physician, I would love for you to join me. The best way to stay in the loop for future retreats is by joining the retreat waitlist, where I will share first access to all of the details for the next one. So you can find that link over in the show notes, sign up, and you will be the first to know when the next one opens. And if you enjoyed this episode, if it got you thinking, if it got you reflecting, if it got you writing, and you have a friend who might benefit from hearing this, I would be grateful if you might share it with them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast so that we can reach and encourage others to tie on their sneakers and join us out there on a run. See you next time.